Alright, last, we're going down Highway 90 from Gulfport to Biloxi. You can see the white sand. There's my chauffeur. Been doing a good job. And way down there, I'll try to zoom in. You can see Biloxi. Well, look how white that sand is. This is the least turn nesting site. The most turn nesting site's just down the road. There's the infamous Biloxi lighthouse. Now we're passing it. I guess we'll lose our way now that we can't see the lighthouse. There's the Beau Rivage where Mama got us a couple of free room for a couple of free nights there. Well, I imagine you can guess what that is, what hotel that is. This is our room at the Best Western. Pretty nice room, and we got it for only $80. And it has its own little balcony. You have to break your arm to get the door open, but it's very nice here. And there is the Beau Rivage right there. Tomorrow we move over there. That's that island right out there where we took Cameron in when we rented that boat. Yeah. And we were swimming right over there on that island. When Pat and I were living here, this is the golf course, and this is a pond that we used to come to, and we would bring big jars with Clorox in them, and we would wade out there neck deep, feeling in the mud with our feet, and we would get golf balls, put them in the Clorox, because they would be purple, and then turn them white, and then we would go to the clubhouse and sell them for a nickel a piece. This is the practice range just near the clubhouse, and we would come here and shag balls for the golfers. We were too young to caddy. We wanted to caddy real bad, but we couldn't carry the bag. We were too young. Well, this is the original room that we were assigned. Quite nice, as you can see. Very opulent and spacious. Only problem with it is, ta-da, 2 double beds. She thought they were assigning her 2 queens. So my trip coordinator has gone back down to her contact to see about replacing this with a king. We also got a city and Bayview side, and this time we did not get the ocean view side. Unfortunate, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. After all, it is free. By the way, that's where we spent the last 2 nights right there. That's Best Western. Very nice Best Western. That's the IP Casino. Used to be named Imperial Palace. It had got too much of a reputation for Asians, so they kind of changed that a little bit. That right there is the Palace Casino, the one I prefer. And let's see, you can just barely see the top of Boomtown right there. Those are called Back Bay casinos. And actually that's where most of the locals goes, to those casinos. Okay, this is where my trip recorder relocated us to. It's on the opposite side of the hall facing the bay. The room is just as opulent, just not as roomy. Very nice, large room. Got a king bed. And my trip coordinator got me a nice view of the bay. That way is the view toward Gulfport, and Out there would be Ship Island, and that's the Mississippi Sound. No, that's not a sound you hear. That's the Mississippi Sound. Well, we're here at Mikey's on the Bayou for oysters on the half shell. We're down here at Fort Bayou. Must be a good place because the sign right over there says happy. Well, let's go see. Oysters on the half shell at $8 a dozen. That's not a bad deal if you ask me, which you didn't. Well, we just got our bellies full on oysters on the half shell upstairs there at Mikey's. This is the original bridge we're standing on here. Those are the original bumpers of the wooden ones. And right in front of us would have been was a swing bridge. And we would get down on these wooden ones and walk all the way out the end, and that's where we would fish, even when the bridge was open. Most of the time we fished right over there. That bridge up there was not there. Sometimes we would get a little wooden boat and we would paddle way down the bayou. We caught a lot of redfish here. This is downtown Ocean Springs, right at the main road, crossroads right downtown. It hasn't changed much. It's a pretty quaint old town. Right across the street over there is the bank. When that bank opened, there was a huge celebration in this town. This was all shut down, and there was music and everything. I was here when they put this cornerstone in. There's stuff in there in a time capsule. I don't know what it all is, but we watched them lay it when they had this big celebration. There's the original Lovelace drugstore over there. Look at there, they still got the original soda fountain in there. Soda jerk. This is where Western Auto was. That's where I bought my first pellet pistol. Man, I was proud of that. Bought it with proceeds from my newspaper route. I delivered back in a neighborhood back over there. A dog chased me and got tangled in my spokes, and I went over the handlebars and lost all my papers. This is where I went to school in Ocean Springs. It's now a cultural center, but this was both elementary and junior high school in those days. They didn't call them elementary and junior high. Yeah, I remember it well. OSPS. That's where I kissed my first girl. I had to kiss her on the cheek in a play. This has all been built up, but this road right here used to be a dirt road. It was a private road. Where that building is and that big tree and all of this playground equipment is where that all belonged to Cowboy's daddy. That's where we lived. Where the playground is where we live. We had a hog pen out there and chickens. None of that was back there. This was all just woods. This is where we played. And my friend lived in a wooden house way back in those trees back there, Ray Massey. None of this stuff that you see was here. This was all just woods where we played. And this high line above us right here, one time Pat shot an aluminum arrow up into it, and it landed across and caused arcs, and it tripped all the power out in the area. We never told anybody who did it. Ocean Spring Beach, that's Biloxi way over there, and this is where we spent most of our summers up here. It's further down the beach that we'll come to, where we did all of our crabbing. This is where we lived for about a year. That you go down this gravel drive and go behind that house. There was a small house that we lived in back there. And there was a wooden pier out here that we did all of our crabbing on. The beach was not developed like it is now. It was just beach. And no tourists at all. I'm amazed that this old oak tree is still here. This was our front yard. And see those limbs? They come down to the ground. In fact, they've put roots in the ground, and we used to play in that all the time. It is humongous. I don't know if you can tell how big that thing is unless Mama walked out there by it and get us in trouble. Now, this is where we used to live. It's just on the beach, right behind that big house I showed you earlier. There was a big artesian well out here somewhere.
House right there. See?
We found what's left of the artesian well. They've capped it off and put a water tank on it. This is the railroad bridge that we used to walk out on and fish. We would hide our bikes in the weeds way up there. And that was a wooden trestle bridge in those days. And it's a swing bridge out in the middle of it. And we would have to, when a train would come, of course there was no way to leave the bridge. And it was very narrow, so we would get down on the pilings, had those cross supports underneath there. We would get down on those and squat down while the train passed over. It was scary, but we caught lots of very, very nice fish. Here we are on the beach, at the beach. Here's our camp way up there. See that little blue umbrella?
Did you get a picture of that?
Did I get a picture of what?
That written in the sand.
Yeah, but I'm too close. It won't. Oh, it's washing away. I was looking at our camp up there. I'm gonna wash you away.
I'm scared.
Okay, here we have our beach camp and our camp slave. Here we are on Poindexter Drive, where Myron's place used to be. Right there is the house that replaced Myron's house. It was the only house left standing in this area because it's got a steel frame. Otherwise, this is what it looks like around here now, where all these houses were. This was all houses, you remember. Vacant lot after vacant lot. There's a few houses being built, but now they're all being built on stilts. Hey, do you remember right there where a beer joint sat that your Uncle Pat hung out in all the time? Okay, here we are in Waveland again. You remember we came through here a couple of years after Katrina, and it was flattened. Well, this used to be the St. Clair Catholic Church right here. And there it is now. That's the first church I've ever seen built on stilts. How about that? Well, here we are again waiting for our car. It's the valet. You know how fast they are. There's my trip coordinator. And there's the pictures of people taking pictures of each other. So I'll take pictures of people taking pictures. Still no car. You got anything to say to the people?